Yo, I have become an instant fan of this new reality web series, The Fashionaires of Atlanta. Let's talk about it, y'all. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to KRS TV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is my review for The Fashionaires of Atlanta Season 1, Episode 1. And the name of this episode is the Gullah. I am a instant fan of this show. I love all of the people that are on this show. I really like the fact that not only, because you all know that Atlanta has literally become the Black Hollywood, and they are, they have a big feel for, music and movies and television, but now they're trying to make Atlanta the next fashion capital. For me, this is Black excellence at its best, so I'm very honored to review this show. And with this, you got big personalities, you have so many creative individuals, but with a lot of creative people, and the fact that everybody has their own aesthetic and they all have different backgrounds, that's definitely gonna be a lot of shade, a lot of tension, and a lot of button heads, and we definitely get this in episode 1. So let me introduce you to the actual individuals who are a part of this. The first individual I'm going to talk about is KL Allen. He's a fashion designer. The second person is Jean-Pierre Cornell. Shout out to you, Jean-Pierre. He's actually a friend of mine. We've definitely been chatting on social media for a minute. And again, I want to thank you because he definitely reached out to me and wanted me to review this. And I'm definitely honored to do so. But Jean-Pierre Cornell, he's a fashion publicist. And he also started off as a photographer, and I've definitely been following him for quite some time. He has some amazing, things on his Instagram and as well as his Facebook. So, dude is doing his thing. Then you have Tracia J. She's a fashion mogul. She is gorgeous. I am an instant fan of Tracia J. I remember she had a small role in the movie Return to the Game, which starred Columbus Short and Vivica Fox. She's also been on the Real Housewives of I'm not the Real Housewives, I'm sorry, my bad. Love and Hip Hop, my bad. So she's definitely has, not only is she a model, but she's also done some videos and television, and she's also had some parts as an actress. So she's definitely a mogul in her own right, and she's definitely doing her thing. The next person is Asia Shari. She's a new fashion designer, but then she's also a model. She's model for a lot of the top names in the industry. She's gorgeous. She's married with a little boy who's 2 years old, and she's just a very beautiful person, and I'm definitely a fan of hers as well. Another person that's a part of the cast is Daryl DC Chambers. He's a male model, and he's also an actor, and I'm like, eye candy all day, baby. Like yes, Mr. DC Chambers is hot, like with a capital H. And the next person is Cachet Royale. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, correct me in the comments. But she's a fashion stylist, a very beautiful woman. Then you have Donaldo Taylor. He's a makeup artist. He's definitely very clean. Very attractive guy himself. Then you have Ryan Christopher, who's a wardrobe stylist, and I was pretty much say those are the main 9 characters. But then I also say it's 10 because another person that definitely stuck out for me was Charzelle Iman. She's a makeup artist, and she's a designer, and she's working with KL, because she wants to launch her own designer line as well. And I have to say all of them are incredibly talented, and it's great that they all want to come together to make Atlanta the new fashion capital of America. And I think that these individuals together can really create some really great things for the fashion world. And I'm so here for what they can actually bring about. But then again, you know, they're gonna have to get over some of their personal angst and some of their, you know, some of their tension and issues in order to make this a success. But definitely all of them bring something unique to the table. So in this episode, we first get a scene with KL Allen and Sargel Iman. KL Allen, he's worked with Cynthia Bailey, Fantasia Barrino, Maya Harrison, just to name a few. He grew up the child of a single mother. He learned his hard work ethic from his mom, and he actually learned how to sew from his grandmother. So that was something that I can say I can relate to KL, because I was very close with my mother and my grandmother as well. Rest in peace, Grandma. But they definitely had a major impact on me and what I do as being a YouTube personality. So I definitely could relate to KL on that. That was good stuff. And he learned how to draw from his mom, so he knows how to draw, he knows how to sew, has a great aesthetic. And he said that his mother had always encouraged him to follow his dreams, which is a beautiful thing. She said that she never told him he couldn't do anything or couldn't be anything. She always encouraged him to be his best self and to shoot for his dreams. So that's an awesome thing. And Sargel Iman, she's originally from the Bay Area, but she grew up in Atlanta. And she's worked with, D Woods, Neffy, Carrie Wells from Married to Medicine. So she talks about I think she had met KL at New York Fashion Week, and she's been working since 2013. Well, I think she's been working with KL since 2013. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But we see that they have a sit down and they talk or whatever. And, KL reveals how he is about, being on time, and, that people want the success, but they don't want to put in the hard work. And he also discusses like business investments that had tanked, due to people that he went into business with that weren't, putting up the work, and people who were making excuses and weren't really delivering. And two of his businesses that he had with other people had actually fallen apart. And then we also saw that a week earlier, and they actually opened up this with the episode, that there was this big fight that happened between Tracia and Sargel, and then it spilled over between KL and Jean-Pierre. And he even discusses in this that, him and Jean-Pierre have like this love-hate relationship with each other. He considers Jean-Pierre a frenemy, and he says that if Messi and Shady were to have a child, it would be Jean-Pierre. And he, talks about, the thing is that even though they butt heads a lot, but when they work together, they both push the envelope. So they have a great work ethic, and that's where they have that strong commonality. But then he says that the issue that he has with Jean-Pierre is that he gets vindictive, and he always is like, he always feels that Jean-Pierre is always in competition with him, and that's where they butt heads. And he also discusses with Sargel that, he at one point in 2016, he was homeless. He hit rock bottom, and then he's mad that Jean-Pierre had pretty much said that, he ain't worked in 3 years, and he hasn't seen nothing of his in New York Fashion Week. And, KL is definitely peeved about that, because he said that's a damn lie. But then he also drops a bomb that, before I kind of hit rock bottom, Jean-Pierre had actually stayed with me, and yeah, I'm going to put it out there, I don't give a shit. Because, KL is pretty much that dude that he's a realist. He says what he says what he says, and he means what he says, and he don't give a damn how you feel. And he also is having this conversation with Sargel, and he asks her, like, as far as your line and everything, who do you really want to represent? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to, like, be what platform do you want to use and who do you want to stand for? And she says that she wants to, represent the trans community, which I think is a beautiful thing. And especially after all the craziness that that's been going on with trans community, especially what happened with Malaysia Booker. That was the young lady that was brutally beaten by this guy's due to a traffic incident in Dallas. And then the thing went viral because there were like guys who literally came in and just attacked her, and I was completely disgusted with this, and I was just very upset that they were doing this to this girl. She's a human being, and they literally it was literally a hate crime, and it went viral. She went public, and then a week later they found her dead. So there's really a lot of travesty in the trans community, and I became an instant fan of Charzelle Iman because she wants to represent the trans community, and she wants to be one of the first fashion moguls for the trans community, and I think that's an amazing feat that she wants to accomplish, and I definitely am behind her 100%. Because I think the trans community needs all the support and love they can get, and they need inspiration that they can be whoever they want to be, and that they deserve to have rights and liberties as everyone else. And then KL, this actually opens up for KL to talk about the fact that the problem is that you got too much judgmental bones out here where people want to judge you, but yet they don't, and it's like they make it personal when it should be about your business and about your talent, and that other things shouldn't matter. And I completely agree with him, because I even go through that, me being a big guy, and people judge me for being big, but yet they don't want to recognize my gift or my aesthetic, and that definitely pisses me off. So I definitely can relate to that, where people rather judge you rather than actually embrace what you bring to the table. So I definitely agree with that. And he was saying that it pisses me off because he even says that there's people who judge him because of being black, and they think he's supposed to be like this thug image, and he's supposed to be this stereotype, and he's like, I'm me, I am who I am. And he even said that, hell, me being myself and me being real, I even lost friends. But he's like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm living my dream. And, he also talks in this scene that, that Jean-Pierre has invited him to his gala event. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're going to go to see we're probably going to go to his little Section 8 house, and we're going to see what's really going on with this. But, Charzelle was like, oh, he invited me? Like, this is interesting. Because, a week before, her and Tracia got into it, at KL's place. So she was like, she's surprised that he even invited her. But that whole event gets interesting, and I'm going to get to it. So then we meet Tracia J. She's originally from Birmingham, Alabama. She's been in the ATL since 2005. As I mentioned before, she's a model. She's done videos, movies. She's an actress, and she's definitely done a lot in print as well. And she also has her own hair care line called Simply Straight, where she has, I think, if I'm not mistaken, so pretty much she has her own hair care line, and it's very successful in Birmingham. And now she wants to do a launch event, back at her hometown, also for Atlanta, and she also wants to do one for New York City. So she's getting the bag, and she's definitely laying it down. And then this is also around the same, hold on. So then after we meet Tracia, we also meet Jean-Pierre Cornell. He's a publicist. He started off as a photographer. And he pretty much says that, he's, definitely one of the figureheads who's trying to make, Atlanta the new fashion capital. For 2000, he's been a publicist since 2001. He mentions Charles Barnett was the one who put him on, and he's worked with so many people as a photographer, and then him working as a PR, it just opened even more doors for him. He even mentions that, you know, Dwight Ebanks, you know, y'all definitely seen Dwight on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you know, Dwight Ebanks is amazing, and he says that he considers him like a father figure. So we see that John and Tracia have a conversation. She's actually his client, and he's going to be helping her launch her hair care line. I mean, so he does PR, so, you know, he's definitely going to help build her audience in the ATL. They actually met while she was in a fashion show with KL. And it was a fashion house that KL used to own that he no longer owns anymore, and that's where she met Jean-Pierre. And you know, pretty much, you know, as far as her line and everything, Jean-Pierre was like he can, you know, try to promote her and, you know, big events like, you know, the Met Gala, the Oscars, the Grammys, because he's pretty much everywhere, you know, being a PR guy. And you know, and he says that, you know, at a lot of these events, they have product placements. You know, we can get you out there and, you know, pretty much just fish and see what we get. And then pretty much he also talks about, you know, his Fabulous Faces event gala. He had actually did one the year prior, and from the looks of it, it looked amazing. I mean, you know, pretty much the food was literally, you know, gourmet, like top of the line. It looked really nice. And, you know, KL actually went to the event last year, and him and Charnel has been invited to his new one this year, and they're all pretty much looking forward to it. And if anything, what we found with this, so pretty much, you know, Jean-Pierre and Tracy are talking, and he was like, I just think that KL is bitter because I stole you from him, you know, pretty much not intentionally, but yeah, I stole you from him or whatever. And they also discussed Charnel, and he was being real shady. He's like, look, I love the trans community, I love everybody, but this, you know, thing, you know, that's working with KL literally a week ago tried to fight my client, which we saw in the beginning of the episode. And so yeah, they discuss about them getting into it, and according to Tracia, she said that, you know, yeah, we really got into it, you know, crazy. And she said that she had brought up, you know, her affiliation with Cat Williams, and she said that that was like so long time ago, so why are you bringing that up now? Like, she just felt that Charzelle was coming for her, and it just exploded. And from the fight or whatever, I could see that, yeah, they was going back and forth, but then when Tracy was kind of, you know, talking about her lace front and was pointing, that's what kind of started. I'm like, Tracy, you my girl and all, I love you, but honey, you already know, you know, if you're gonna keep your hands here, but once you put your hands out, you know how we are. We like our space. So when you get into someone's space, yeah, you can definitely get a reaction that you don't want. So it just went out of control. But yeah, that's pretty much what went down from where I was seeing it. Like, okay, you should never put your hand out, honey, because, you know, when you put your hand out, you know how we are. You get into our space, we feel threatened, and we attack. It is what it is. So, but then, you know, Jean-Pierre talks about it like, he's like, I love Cornell, but this girl he working with, I don't think she deserves to be at the table with us. I don't think she's up to par to be where we are. And then, you know, Tracy was like, yeah, but you know how KL is with his clients. They never last long and all of that. So I was just like, wow, the shade is real, because we saw that KL and Charzelle was being shady about him. And then we see that on the other end, Jean-Pierre and Tracy are being shady about, you know, Charzelle and KL as well. So it's like all of this tension is definitely there. So I immediately was like, okay, when they get together, it's really going to be some crazy shit. So then we get introduced to Asia Shari. You know, she's a beautiful model. She's worked in New York Fashion Week. She's actually worked for, the lines Miss Jessie and, Michael Kors. And we see her meet with this guy, Bernard, who's a designer, and she's working on starting her own fashion line. She, as I mentioned before, she's married, and she has a 2-year-old son. And her little boy looks so adorable. I was just like, wow. And then seeing her with her husband, I was like, wow, just beautiful family. And pretty much, Bernard is talking to her, and he wants to know, well, what kind of fashion line are you trying to create? She says she wants to do something like Versace-esque, like a high fashion line. I mean, because, Versace's definitely inspiration to so many, because, definitely Versace was a pioneer, rest in peace. But then he lets her know that, look, the business of business is everything. Meaning that, if the inner core of your business is not together, it throws everything off. So, as far as, the books, managing your money, the partners, you really want to have a strong, successful team, because that is what's going to be tantamount to whether your line, succeeds or not. So definitely you want to work on that inner core of your business. And he was really giving her some great advice. And then she also talked about how, she's been working hard, and definitely it's tough being a mother to a 2-year-old son, but yet she's been going real hard to get her line off the ground. And she also mentions that, that KL Allen had reached out to her. And pretty much, Bernard admits that he does brand management. And he talks about, if you want to sew, if you want to learn graphics, web design, branding and funding, I'm pretty much your guy, and she says that, KL is actually having this, there's this mixer that KL invited her to, pretty much the gala event. She tells him that she's going to send him an invite. But I even say that definitely Bernard should be a part of the team, because he definitely has a strong aesthetic that will be beneficial to making sure that the ATL becomes the fashion capital of America. So, as I said, that there's a lot of great personalities and a lot of, great talented people that are part of this cast. Next we actually see that Tracy J meets up with Jordan Fashawn. And I have to say, he's definitely become one of my faves. I love this guy. He's a stylist. I think he's originally from Alpharetta, Georgia. He's an image consultant, and he's all about the coins. And he met Tracy J on on the set of Love and Hip Hop, because he's definitely done some image work and consulting there, working with them. So he's definitely worked with some big names in the industry as well. And when we first meet Jordan Fashawn, let's just say his aesthetic and his look was down. It was like he was rocking Coco Chanel from head to toe. The hair was right, and then had these red shades. I was like, bitch came to kill. And definitely when it comes down to fashion, yeah, he's definitely an image, an image to die for. Because I was even gagged. I was like, oh, check him out. I ain't mad at you. And then when he was sitting there and they was talking about, because she wants to work with him as well, and she wants to take her video girl vixen and make it high fashion. And since he definitely has a aesthetic where he can do different looks, and that's pretty much what stylists do. They can give you, high fashion, they can give you club, or give you, business event. And he was pulling out pieces. I mean, it was like he went into the Barney bag and pulled a lot of things. And I was literally impressed. I was like, wow, he is on his game and he about that coin. So the bottom line is green. I ain't mad about that. And we see that the two of them instantly clicked. They had great chemistry. They just met each other. He actually has a degree from Clark Atlanta University. So I was like, so he definitely, got a degree, in fashion, merchandising, and things like that. So he definitely knows his stuff. And from the way he came in and he presented everything, not only with his fashion aesthetic, but then how he was coming with all those pieces, I was like, baby is working. So I'm already am a fan of, Jordan Fashawn. I'm definitely an instant fan. And, he even, pretty much, she discussed that, she's also working with Jean-Pierre and all of that. And he was like, well, it seems to me that, even though she's working with Jean-Pierre, she decided to come to the better side. Okay. That's all that needs to be like, and I'm just like, wow, the shade is everything on this show. They are doing the most. But he was saying that, I want to bring you to the team, and I really want to bring you to the table because I think what you do is amazing, and I really want you and Jean-Pierre to actually meet each other. But she was even saying that, KL had reached out to her as well. And like, they pretty much said that, that pretty much, that she wants to bring him to the table, and, and that he would be a good fit for the group. And I completely agree. A person with his aesthetic and with his knowledge, yeah, that's definitely somebody you want on your team. So, Tracia definitely has a sharp eye. So then we see that Asia goes to meet up with KL. She discusses with KL about becoming a designer like she did with Bernard. And that she's even worked with KL in the past in some of his fashion shows. And then also, while they were talking, he definitely had mentioned that he's been working with Charzelle, and she wants to start her own fashion line. So she's like a junior designer, with me. So she's, he's pretty much taken Charzelle under his wing, and she's now going to grow and build her business, as a fashion designer as well. And then she also mentioned that she was married with a little kid, and he immediately was like, oh, she married? Oh, I thought she was single. So I'm like, oh, KL kind of got an eye on Asia, and can you blame him? I mean, Asia's gorgeous. And he was like, well, the thing is about the industry, husbands and kids don't really work too well because there are a lot of temptations. And I'm like, yeah, and from the looks of it, one of those temptations is you. So he kind of put that out there. And he was telling her about, Jean-Pierre has this gala, fashion, fabulous face fashion event, or house party, or kickback, whatever it is. Like, he was just being so shady about Jean-Pierre's event, and it was hilarious. And then, he was saying that, he's been shading about, it was this line he had called Marva, which was his old fashion house that Tracia used to work for with him. And, but that fashion house, due to his business partner, things fell apart. And they also talk about Jean-Pierre, and Asia admits that, yeah, I've worked with Jean-Pierre, and, he's always been professional. But she says that he's a character, though. He's definitely a big personality, and not everybody can take him. But she says, as far as her, that, he's been real cool with her. But then KL was like, he's just shady as hell, and I can't, he just gets under my skin and shit. So pretty much, we see that the two of them are there, and they're waiting on Charzelle to arrive. But then, he was, because she's going to the event along with KL and Charzelle, to the gala. And Charzelle was late, and he was like, yeah, just like Charzelle, BST, Black Standard Time. I was like, it's cute. But then finally she did show up. And he was like, well, we're, like he was saying that, we're about to go to Jean-Pierre's gala or kickback. And then he says, I want you to do Asia's face. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's networking, pretty much showcase your work. And let me say, when she did Asia's face, Asia looked gorgeous. So Charzelle definitely needs a seat at the table, because that girl's aesthetic and her talent is undeniable. Because when she painted her, I was like, bitch, you better work. So they pretty much decide that they're gonna do their thing. And then Tracia was gonna be at the gala event, but she actually had some work in Atlanta. She has a promo event with her products, and we see that there's a salon in Birmingham called Rich Salon. Her products are on the stands. They're actually using her products in the in the salon, and I was like, wow. I was about to say restaurant, y'all. Thank God I caught myself. I would have really got a foot in my ass for that one. So yeah, my bad. But yes, they were using her products in the salon, and I was like, look at old girl work. I am not mad at you, Tracia. So as I said, I'm already an instant fan of Tracia Jade, and I think she's phenomenal. And we see her, do the introduction for her line and everything. And, and from the looks of it, her event was successful. So I'm like, you go, girl. She had her hometown, and she's definitely made her name for herself there, and now she's branching out. So we pretty much see that finally KL, Charzelle, and Asia come together to go to the gala event, and they pretty much enter to the house, and that damn KL Allen, he is shady as shit. He was like, drum roll, kickback. That's what this shit is. It's a fucking kickback. So they pretty much said that, see, this motherfucker said that it was going to be, he made it seem it was going to be at this private mansion party, and that he was going to charge $100 and $300 for VIP. And we come up here, it's a damn house party. It's a kickback. There's no food, there's red cups, and then he got these liquor desserts. Really, bruh? I'm disappointed. And so pretty much what we have here is a damn kickback. This is not a gala. And I was just like, wow. So then we see that Jean-Pierre actually has a conversation with Asia. She talks about her clothing line and everything, and she was saying that we were talking about that this whole gala thing, and he made it that it was going to be at some mansion, and it was going to be very top of the line, but it's at his house or whatever. And and she even said in her confessionals that he made it seem as if like it was going to be at this top of the line type of event, but from the looks of it, it just looks like a damn in-house barbecue. So I was like, wow. But then he said that, look, I'm not going, and Jean-Pierre was like, look, I'm not going all over and beyond, to do things for these kids with no coins. Pretty much he was like, look, last year I invested so much money into the event, and all people was doing was coming and eating and taking gift bags and went home. Nobody invested in anything. So he's like, and I had to pay for all that. I had to pay, so much money for the house. I had to clean up everything. I had to do all of this work, and yet people were just coming in, taking shit, and went home, And he was like, I'm not having that this time. And then he was also talking, and then she had showed him that Charzelle did her makeup, and he was like, oh, she did good, like it's all good. But he's like, I wanted to book her, and she was saying she wanted $800, and he was like, shoot, I can get somebody. He's like, I can see if we was in New York, but ATL, shoot, I can get somebody to do that for $100, so I canceled and I got somebody else. But I'm like, but the way that she painted old girl, yeah, I think she deserved that $800 pay. I mean, but then again, it could have been negotiated. But yeah, that girl definitely needs to get paid for what she does, because her shit was, Charzelle is definitely a whiz at what she does. And when she painted Asia, I was gagged. I was like, bitch, you better work. So then we see that later on, after he talks with her and everything, and then we see that and she was like, you know what, I ain't trying to be in the middle of all that drama and all that, because he had mentioned, KL and Charzelle and all of that, and he was like, well, me, for me it's just another day of the week. I'm here for it, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm here. So pretty much, then we see that Asia gets on her confession. It's like, here we go again. Jean-Pierre's talking about, his career and his this and his that, talking my ear off, and I'm just kind of over it at this point. I'm like, y'all are a trip, because she's just like, I'm like, okay, you said what you had to say. I'm kind of done now. Like, it was just hilarious. And then he was saying that, oh yes, there's definitely some liquor downstairs, and there's definitely desserts out there. And pretty much when they showed it, I'm like, the dessert table was nice. I mean, it was definitely, VIP-esque, because I've been to some events, and usually they have very great desserts and beverages and stuff like that, and that's kind of typical for an event. Usually, like, if you want to eat, because it says in the Bible, if any man hunger, let him eat at home, in Jesus' name. Okay, so when it comes down to events, you ain't going there to chow down. You just going there to have some light hors d'oeuvres and to network, because that's what these events are for. But then we see that he has a conversation with Tracia. They FaceTime each other, and he was like, yo, I'm mad you ain't here at this event, because we see that daggone KL, Allen, and Charzelle coming here looking like King and Queen Diana up in this bitch. I was like, oh my God, he's a trip. Like, I was gagging over Jean-Pierre, because he's a mess. And he was like, look, yeah, he's like, coming up in here looking like T-Rex, talking about Charzelle. I'm like, you need to stop coming for that girl. I like her. She's cool. But then again, they got all this tension between them. And then he was like, look, I'm going to be real with you. I just only bought liquor and desserts. I'm not feeding these poor ass kids. They ain't getting a full meal off of me. Shit. If you came hungry, you're going to leave hungry. And she's like, look, I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but I had to work. And he's like, nah, boo boo, I ain't mad at you. Secure the bag. That's what you got to do. I ain't never stopping none of my clients from getting that coin. So I'm like, that's definitely a good thing. Like, you want your team to win, and you want your team to come up and get that coin. So I was all here for that. And then we see that damn KL. I mean, because KL looked clean though. Like, even KL's look for the gala event, well, the kickback, he pretty much said that. I mean, I have to say his look was real clean. I mean, he was giving me Billy D. Williams circa 1980 and Code 45, and I was like, I ain't mad at you, bruh. He looked clean. Like, he had the little jacket over his shoulders and was just giving, like, like it was kind of reminiscent of Billy D. Williams and what's old boy's name? Dang. It'll come to me. But yeah, he was really giving like really clean 1980s Brooks Brothers and high fashion, and I was all here for it. I was like, wow, like, old boy was clean. I wasn't mad at him. And I even like Jean-Pierre. I love that shirt. I mean, Jean-Pierre was doing his thing too, and I like how Jean-Pierre is very creative with his dreads. I just think that's that's really cool. So he really shows how much of a creative person he is, because the way that he does his dress, where he does like this really big twist and it comes all the way out, I'm like, bruh, only he could pull that off, because not everybody could do that, but it works for him. And I like his, I like the fact that he's a big personality, but he's a trip. Trust and believe that. He is definitely a trip. So we see that KL and Charzella in the basement. They are literally picking and are griping, and he is just going in. But the thing about it, before they got there, KL said that he was gonna be shady going in this event, because he hyped this whole thing up, and he's like, if he says that I'm gonna be shady regardless, but if it's a daggone kickback, oh, trust and believe, I ain't gonna hold no punches. So they back there, and he's just going in and all that, and then Charzelle's like, I'm not gonna be catty like that. I'm not gonna say. But she was like, but they looking in his basement like, child, what the hell is this? You said that this was supposed to be a high class fashion event, and this is some bullshit. And they were just being just as shady as they wanted to be. And then we see that Jean-Pierre actually, does his introduction for his event, and then he's also working on a music component to his fashion, to his fashion business, which I think is phenomenal. So he's branching out into also different arts and things like that. And then we see that he has a conversation with KL, Charzelle, and Asia. They go into a room and they start talking, and immediately KL did not hold back. He was like, you know what? I really feel very disrespected, because you have been running your mouth saying that you have not seen a collection from me in 3 years, and yet you thought that this was going to be a high-end event, and you were going to be charging $100 at the door and $300, for VIP. And what we see here, I thought we were coming to a gala, but it's really a kickback. And then I think it was Charzelle was like, yeah, Gullah. It's like, yeah, it was a Gullah. It ain't no damn gala. Trust and believe, we know the difference. And they pretty much go back and forth, and Jean-Pierre even gets up and was like, yo, what you trying to say, bruh? Like, really? Like, what's good? And I was just like, oh shit. Like, yeah, Jean-Pierre is over the top, but if you come for him, he'll definitely, he ain't got no problem getting in your ass. But then KL is the same way. So to see these two fight was just crazy, because I'm like, wow. It's like, but the thing about it, they were not only fighting about the current event, they were fighting about stuff that happened years prior, because remember, he had said in the beginning that him and Jean-Pierre have a love-hate relationship, and we seen a lot of hate come out. They dissing each other's aesthetic. They're dissing each other like, well, yo ass, like, where's your clothing line at? He's like, where's your clothing line at? He's like, where's your clothes? What store is your shit in? He's like, nigga, what store your shit in? And they just start going back and forth, and then it just gets to the point where that damn KL just lost it. He went the fuck off. He's like, man, fuck this shit. You ain't no boss, motherfucker. Like, this is some bullshit, and you can't ever fucking say shit about me. And then it said that I really feel that the reason why you so combative is because you want to be me. You can't be me, motherfucker. And I was just like, oh shit. Like, I'm just like gagged. But then KL was throwing it back though. Like, KL is that person that he will stand there and he will definitely throw it back. He ain't the type of person that's gonna shut down, but him and KL was going back and forth, and KL was like, man, fuck you, you ain't shit, fuck your shit, fuck this weak ass fucking event you got, you ain't shit, motherfucker. And he flipped him off and walked out, and I was like, yo. But I'm saying, even for me, even though it was crazy to watch and I was gagged the whole time, but I really do hope that they can get past their personal shit and really come together, because I like them both. They both bring something great to the table, and if they can actually overcome their personal angst and really just be about the business, I think they can do some great things. Because, as I said, I'm all for black excellence, and I'm all for, you know, black development, and this definitely is a show that's about that. But yet they got to get past the inner quarrelings and the tension, so that they can really work together and really bring their best to the table. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. I'm already a huge fan of this show, and I can't wait to see what they have for the rest of this season. But from the previews, it looks like this first season is going to be off the chain. So I am so here to see what happens next. And I will also have the link to the the YouTube link in the description box, so therefore you guys can actually go and you can actually go subscribe. If you haven't watched Fashionaires of Atlanta, you can actually click that link in the description box, go and subscribe to the channel, so you can watch every episode, and click that notifications, so every time an episode comes up, you will know about it. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on my social platforms. I have them all listed in the description box. And I also will have the link, for Fashionaires of Atlanta, where you can actually go and check out episode 1. And I think episode 2 comes out, this Sunday. So definitely check it out. Definitely support them. I mean, these are pioneers who are really trying to do some great things in Atlanta, and I'm definitely behind them 100%, and you should definitely support them as well. So yeah, follow all my social platforms in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video, and I will be back with the next episode of Fashionaires of Atlanta. So until next time, everybody, take care.